Hey, what's up, guys, and welcome back to the Red Mist Podcast with me, Seshadri, and welcome to Raw Reactions live from match day at Crystal Palace, where we are taking on Roy Hodgson and his boys. Now, before I do move forward with the episode, I do want to clarify there was no preview to the game today, unfortunately, because I got caught up doing some work. Obviously, most of you guys know, and if you don't know, this is not my primary job. Doing this podcast, I actually do have another job, and that took up a little bit of time yesterday. So unfortunately, I couldn't get down to doing the preview for this game. But I do want to sort of clarify that Raw Reactions. Obviously, for those of you who are familiar with the format, there's a pre-game segment to it. There's a halftime segment and a full-time segment where I react real time to the game as it unfolds, and then obviously, I compiled them into one full episode, but I just thought, I could incorporate a little bit of the preview down into the pre-game segment of the show. So, that's what we're going to do today. It's going to be a little bit of a different Raw Reactions, I suppose, from pre-game. So, before I do get to the lineups, normally I'd go dive straight into the lineups. So, before I do sort of dive into the lineups, I just want to talk a little bit about Crystal Palace. So, they're coming off a 1-1 draw against Tottenham Hotspur, which was crucial for us. Obviously, we didn't take full advantage of it because we ended up drawing 1-1 with Fulham. So that we didn't take full advantage of that. But nevertheless, it was a good result for us. The Eagles are 3 games unbeaten. They're looking to make it 4 today. Liverpool, obviously, big test for them. And surprisingly, Palace, this is very weird, but an interesting stat. And just, because of the fact that, we went on top of the table after beating Tottenham. But this is the second week in a row that Crystal Palace are welcoming the league leaders to Selhurst Park. So that was a little... that's a little bit of... I don't know, it's just a weird fact, I suppose. But Crystal Palace, Christian Benteke, he's the man in form for them right now. 3 goals in 3 games. And the last time Crystal Palace beat Liverpool was in 2017, and Christian Benteke was the one who scored twice. Of course, Benteke is a former Liverpool player, so he would have been a threat today, but obviously he got sent off against West Ham, so he's definitely not going to be playing. A couple of former Liverpool players in that Crystal Palace lineup. Obviously, we've got Nathaniel Klein, got Martin Kelly, got Mamadou Sakho, all of them having spent time at Anfield. Martin Kelly, I think, came through the Anfield ranks for some time. So, it's been, how do I say this? It's been sort of a selling ground for us, I suppose. Selhurst Park has been, but as far as the game goes, I think this game, Crystal Palace will look to take advantage of our defense. And obviously, we've had injuries in our defense. We've sort of coped well with it, but it doesn't mask the fact that Liverpool have just kept 3 clean sheets in the league so far. We're top of the league, but defense is not our strongest point just yet. We're still, up there, but we're not the strongest team defensively. So Roy Hodgson, obviously, his attacking unit is quite good. Wilfried Zaha, Eberechi Eze, I think these guys are really, really good. Eze, Zaha and Eze, that's going to be, I mentioned before the season, Eberechi Eze for Crystal Palace, that's going to be a really good signing for them. And so far, he's looked pretty damn good. I can't lie. He's looked absolutely brilliant. So he will be keen to sort of capitalize on this sort of defensive weakness of Liverpool. I say weakness, we're still top of the league, but, comparatively, I think if you were to pick out an area of vulnerability in this Liverpool lineup, you'd probably say defense right now, especially since Virgil van Dijk and Joe Gomez are not there. So I'd say you'd probably say that. It's going to be, our away form's also a little bit of a concern going into this game. We haven't won any of our last 5 away league games. We've drawn 4 and we've lost 1. We drew each of the last 4. Of course, that includes, the caliber of opposition such as Manchester City, for example. So it's not, I guess, a truly reflective picture, but nevertheless, it is something that Palace will look to exploit. I think the last time the Reds drew 5 away league games was back in December 1991 under Graham Souness. So it's been a while. And the last time they went 6 without a league win on the road was in January 2011. So, going into this game, there's a fair few records at stake. Not the kind of records you'd want to your name, but they are at stake. Um, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. As far as team news goes, let's talk about Roy Hodgson. Only long term, he's got pretty much a clean squad, I think. The only absentees would be any long term injuries that he has. So he's really not as much of a um, it's really not as much of a problem for him as it is for Liverpool. Liverpool, on the other hand, a fair few injury worries going into this game. Now you'll notice I'm actually going sort of rushing through this. I'd normally do a proper preview episode where I'd talk about 20 minutes for about 20 minutes about players, injuries, and things like that. But I'm just kind of rushing through it because I don't want this to be too long, and I do want to get to the lineups. Liverpool long-term absentees. Obviously, I mentioned Virgil van Dijk and Joe Gomez. Thiago Alcantara is still some way off of fitness. He's potentially going to come back in January. Diego Jota and Costas Tsimikas could at least be out for a month. Jota, it's rumored he might be back only in February. So it's quite there's still some way to go before we actually see them play. But James Milner is still a doubt. Naby Keita will be in the matchday squad, and Joel Matip was a doubt, but as I'll get to the lineups later, he is in the squad. Spoiler alert. But yeah, that is pretty much it about Liverpool and their injury worries. As far as the game goes, I anticipate a game similar to Tottenham, but I think it'll be. I think as compared to Tottenham, I think they'll be a little less incisive, just because there's a talent gap when you compare Crystal Palace to Tottenham. So I do think they're a threat. I do think Wilfried Zaha is a big threat. I do think Eberechi Eze can do damage. Obviously, it's a good thing Benteke is not playing because he's the guy in form right now. But it will be difficult, I do think, at times for us to cope with it. Maybe not as difficult as Tottenham. I'll just say that much. Because I think there's a clear sort of skill gap when you compare Son Heung-min to Wilfried Zaha, for example. So I would say that is about the game. I do expect Crystal Palace to sort of sit back. They come into this game 12th in the league table. They are 1 point behind Aston Villa, but Aston Villa obviously have 2 more games in hand over them. They're 1 point ahead of Leeds United. Newcastle is also just 1 point behind, but they have a game in hand as well. So that's going to be something for Palace to watch out for. And to be fair, like Palace have been matching expectations. I think before the season started, in my pre-season predictions, I had Palace at about 12th, if I'm not wrong. And that is exactly where they are. They might move up and down a couple of places, but I do think this is pretty much where you'd expect Crystal Palace to be. And they're matching expectations, nothing much to say beyond that, really. But that is about Crystal Palace. Let's get to predictions, matchday predictions. I am going to go for a 2-0 win. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be a difficult game. I don't think Palace will make it easy, but I do think we have enough quality on the pitch for us to get a 2-0 win. And speaking of people who are on the pitch, let's finally get to the actual sort of start of the pre-game segment of Raw Reactions. Let's actually get to the lineups. We'll start as per usual with the opposition, Crystal Palace Football Club, the Eagles. They're going to start with Vicente Guaita in goal. Obviously, he gave a Manuel Neuer-esque performance against Tottenham. Made a mistake, which led to the goal, but definitely his performance was an 8 out of 10 at the very least. I've got Nathaniel Klein as well, Kouyaté and Cahill as the centre-back partners, Patrick Van Aanholt at left-back, Jeffrey Schlupp, Milivojevic, MacArthur, Eberechi Eze, Andre Ayew and Wilfried Zaha. I think it's Andre Ayew. I don't know if Andre or Jordan. I don't know which Ayew is playing for Crystal Palace. So I think it's Jordan Ayew. Andre Ayew is playing at Swansea. Right, I just checked it on Google. So yeah, so Jordan Ayew is going to start alongside Wilfried Zaha and Eberechi Eze. MacArthur, Milivojevic, Schlupp, Van Aanholt, Cahill, Kouyaté, Klein, and Guaita. On the bench, they have Butland, Ward, Dan, Tompkins, Mitchell, McCarthy, Reed, Wall, Townsend, and Batshuayi. And for those of you who are surprised that I've read out more than 7 names on the bench, it's because there are 9 subs available for all teams to use. So Crystal Palace obviously making good use of that as well. There's no point having 9 subs if you're not going to use at least 5 of them. So I don't know what this does as far as, player fatigue and player welfare is concerned, I don't know what this does really, because at the end of the day, you might as well, I guess, stay at home and watch the game. I mean, the choice is if you are allowed to use only 3 subs, there's going to be, and normally you'd have 7 subs, there's going to be 2 people in the matchday squad who, for them, it would make no difference if they're watching the game from home or at the stadium. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I don't know if you can understand what I'm trying to say, but it just doesn't make any sense to me. But it is what it is. Crystal Palace, pretty much an expected lineup, I would say. Nothing untoward there, except for obviously Benteke being absent and Jordan Ayew playing up front. But yeah, otherwise they've been pretty solid this season. I mean, nothing much to say. I do think they'll give us a game. I do think they'll be a threat on the counter, but I think this will be a little bit easier than Tottenham. And I do think that this is going to be a game where, we should comfortably come out of it with a win. Selhurst Park, not the easiest venue to play in, but you do also have to remember they don't have any crowd there. London's back into Tier 3, so they don't have any fans. So it definitely has an effect. I think we saw that at Fulham last week, when 2,000 fans were there just screaming and, making life difficult for Liverpool from the stands. So it does make a difference. So unfortunately, Crystal Palace won't have that this week, with London being back in Tier 3. So we'll see how that goes, really. But coming now to the Liverpool lineup, expected goalkeeper there, Alisson Becker starts in goal. Trent Alexander-Arnold, 150th appearance for him in Liverpool colours. So big, bright future ahead of him. Big number there for him, and he's got a bright future both for Liverpool and for England. And won't be surprised if one day he captains the Reds and hopefully even captains the Three Lions. So Trent Alexander-Arnold, congratulations to you, my man, my friend. I can't speak English apparently. Congratulations to you, my friend. I got caught between saying my man and my friend. It is what it is. But anyway, Joel Matip starts in central midfield. There was a little bit of a doubt, but he does end up starting. He is declared fit for the game. He does end up starting in central defence, not midfield. I think I said midfield. I'm sorry. So Joel Matip starts in central defence alongside Fabinho. Andy Robertson also starts at left back. Jordan Henderson, Gini Wijnaldum start in midfield alongside Naby Keita. So it's been a while, but Naby Keita is back in the starting lineup. So hopefully we can see him do his thing, and hopefully we can just do. I mean, he just does his thing, and just because he is a really good player, he's just had a really bad time with injuries. He's a really, really good player. You can see it when he's actually playing. He's just had a really bad time with injuries. So good to see him in the starting lineup. Hopefully he can show what he's all about this game. Up front is the big change. Mo Salah is not going to be playing this game. He starts the game on the bench. Takumi Minamino starts, followed by Sadio Mane and Roberto Firmino. So here's my thing, right? Minamino, we've never really nailed down a position for him. I look, initially he was Firmino's direct replacement, playing as a false nine, sort of, Klopp's logic was a guy who can play CAM naturally, central attacking midfield naturally, that is. If you stick him up there, up front, and then just tell him to drop back, it's like playing CAM. I think that's what his logic was. At least that's my best guess. And it does look, initially we thought that was it. Then he started playing out of the wings. Then, he had a couple of games in central midfield, and there were times when we switched to 4-2-3-1 and he played in central attacking midfield, and that was his natural position. And if you look at it, his best games have always come when he's played in central midfield or central attacking midfield. Like the last game that he played in central midfield, played really well, which is Fulham, I think. And then the Arsenal game in the Community Shield, we shifted to a 4-2-3-1 after Minamino came on as a substitute, along with Keita actually. And that game he played really well. His natural position is in the middle of the park, so I'm not sure how effective he's going to be playing on the right wing. I mean, if you were going to play someone who likes playing centrally, but if you're going to play him on the right wing, might as well have started Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, because at least he's done that before and he's been fairly effective. He's done it a fair few times for Arsenal. He's done it a fair few times for Liverpool as well. So might as well have gone with Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain this game, in my opinion. But this is a chance for Minamino to impress. It's a chance for him to improve as a player, I guess. But I do feel like we need to nail down his starting place. I do feel like we need to nail down his position, because I think that's hurting his development. And we've seen those with players in the past. One of the examples that I really like to use is Marcus Rashford, because Rashford, when he started out on the left wing. But there was a brief period of time when he played as a striker, and there was even talk of him sort of giving Harry Kane a competition for the England sort of striker spot. That's how good he was going to become. Then again, he got shifted out to the left wing, and I feel like as a result, Rashford's not really become the player that he could have been, because he's forced to learn a new position, and then he's forced to go back to his older. So he's not as good as he could be in his initial position, and he's not as good as he could be in his new position. So at the end, you get a player who's sort of good at both, but not really world class in either. So for me personally, I'd rather Klopp just say, okay, Minamino is going to play in the center of the park, or he's going to be Firmino's replacement. Allow him to develop his game in one position and just keep playing him there. And eventually we can get on with it. Like, yes, the occasional game because of injuries and stuff like that, the occasional game, you can sort of change position, but I do feel like we need to nail down Minamino's position, and that is holding him back. That's not to say he doesn't have to do work himself, because I do feel like his game is lacking a lot of things, and for example, he gets bullied off the ball very, very easily. I do feel like we need to nail down Minamino's position. I just don't know. I think that there's multiple contributing factors as to why he's not really clicked in a Liverpool jersey so far, and one of them is the fact that we haven't nailed down his position. One of them is the fact that he's still, I guess, struggling to adapt to the Premier League a little bit. I think he might be more suited to the Bundesliga rather than the Premier League first. Maybe he should have made that step up to Leipzig and then come down to Liverpool like Keita did, or like other players did. So, I mean, it's a difficult one to call with Minamino. I don't know how he's going to play today. I don't know what to expect out of him. I'm not expecting great things, but I do hope he does well. There's a lot of doubt about him. There's a lot of question marks. I do hope he really does well. I feel like, I feel like he can do a lot better. But anyway, that's my thing on the starting lineup. So Mo Salah's on the bench. That's the big news from the lineups. Also alongside him on the bench are Adrian and Kevin Kelleher. So we've got two keepers on the bench there. Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain also makes it. Curtis Jones is also given a rest. Divock Origi, Reece Williams, Nat Phillips and Nico Williams as well. All of them on the bench. No real surprises as far as the bench goes. I think it's a pretty standard bench. 9 players on the bench as per usual. Or as is going to be usual from now on. So no real surprises there. But yeah, I mean, my big talking point is not so much the exclusion of Salah, but rather the inclusion of Minamino. And I do think this is going to be a game where he's played out of position. He will struggle a little bit. And I can't say I completely blame him. Yes, he's got a lot to improve as a player, but I can't say I completely blame him for this as well. So those are my thoughts pre-game from Crystal Palace versus Liverpool. Raw reactions. I will see you guys back again at halftime and let you know my thoughts. Hopefully we're leading at halftime and then we can keep that lead all the way through. But if not, we'll just dissect the game anyway. Hopefully it's an interesting game. Hopefully it's a good game and hopefully we can come out with 3 points. But that is it. There is still about half an hour to kick off. And I'll see you guys back again at halftime. Right, guys, welcome back. And it is halftime at Selhurst Park. Crystal Palace 0, Liverpool 3. What a performance in the first half. I mean, by the scoreline, it looks very, very one-sided. I can't say the game's exactly been that. But the first 15 minutes and the last 10, maybe 15 minutes, I think Liverpool have been the better team. I think there was a portion of the game in the middle where Crystal Palace was giving us a lot of problems. And I think, if I'm Roy Hodgson, I'm a little disappointed with Crystal Palace's finishing because I thought there were a couple of opportunities which should have been finished off. Especially there was one with Jordan Ayew when he was through on goal, and I think instead of taking a shot, he tried to look for Wilfried Zaha. Some last-ditch defending as well from Liverpool at times. And Andy Robertson had one really good tackle on Jeffrey Schlupp, who's been very, very impressive, by the way. Fabinho had this calm interception, which he sent out for a corner, which would have otherwise been turned in, I think. And there was another one from Joel Matip as well, which when he intercepted a pass that was intended for Wilfried Zaha. So a fair few chances half chances, I would say, that came Crystal Palace's way. I think the biggest one was obviously Jordan Ayew's one-on-one, which he didn't take. But Let's not talk about Crystal Palace first. Let's talk about Takumi Minamino. Gets a first start in a long, long time. His second Premier League start, and there he is on the score sheet, just 2 minutes and a few seconds in. I mean, for me, I think the easiest highlight of this half has been the first touches on all three of these goals. I mean, Mane controls the ball really well inside the deep. Minamino takes a beautiful first touch, a second touch, and then just volleys it into the bottom corner. For me, the ball from Trent to Mane was absolutely spot on. Brilliant ball, and Mane's control, his physicality, and then Minamino just brilliant movement around his defender just to avoid the tackle and then finish it off as well. I mentioned Crystal Palace having a few chances, but yeah, I mean, they should. I mean, had they scored, I think at that stage it would have been 1-1, and it would have been a very different game. I think defensively there are still a few issues that we need to sort out. Physically, I think we're getting outplayed a little bit by Crystal Palace at times. In defense, especially, I just think that we need to sort that out a little bit. Lovely first touch again from Sadio Mane, and a quick finish just on the turn. Brilliant finish from him. I'm watching the highlights as we speak, by the way, so that's why I'm kind of able to see the goals again. But absolutely brilliant finish from him. Firmino set that up, so he's got his first assist of the night, and then he goes away. Starts the counter-attack off a Crystal Palace corner. Andy Robertson with a peach of a ball and a brilliant first touch, just like Marcus Rashford midweek. Firmino, brilliant first touch, and then just the finish is pretty sweet as well with his outer foot, but it's the first touch. I mean, he gets that wrong. That's an easy save for Guaita to make. But, I mean, yeah, just brilliant performance overall. I thought Jordan Henderson was very, very impressive. He looked in control throughout the game. Just recycling possession, trying to find Sadio Mane on those runs across the defense with this ball straight across the field. I really thought Jordan Henderson was everywhere. He was on the right hand side. He was playing as a number 6. He was playing as on the left hand side. He was everywhere really. Jordan Henderson, brilliant performance, very, very impressive as captain. For me though, the performer of the half has got to be Bobby Firmino. Just looked really, really in sync with both of his forward compatriots, Minamino and Mane. Just looked very in sync with the midfield as well. Was there to receive passes. One or two mistakes at the start, but by and large, he's been very, very impressive to me. Minamino, very good performance so far. His work rate has never been in question. It's been very, very impressive. As per usual, and Minami, I mean, look, he's been really, really good on the left-hand side. I mean, he's having a good game. There have been a few times where he's kind of not been, on the same page as Firmino and Mane, but that's kind of expected given that, he's not usually playing with them. I think Firmino and Mane have been more on the same page than Minamino has been. Yeah, but very, very good performance from Minamino. Won a free kick right towards the end of the half as well, which potentially could have seen a fourth goal come in, but obviously that free kick I felt was a little too close to the goal, to the box for Trent or Robertson to make an impact. Maybe Robertson could have tried going around the wall instead of over it, which instead of Trent taking the free kick over the wall. I really thought that might have been an option. But by and large, I think it's been a very, very impressive performance from Liverpool. 3-0 might be a little bit of a harsh scoreline towards Crystal Palace, because normally when a team is up 3-0, you expect dominance from the side that is winning. I wouldn't say we've been dominant. We've definitely been the better team, but I wouldn't say we've been dominant. There are still some issues to sort out. Wilfried Zaha, Jeffrey Schlupp, Eberechi Eze, they're all still giving us problems. And I keep saying this, if Jordan Ayew puts that ball into the back of the net when he was one-on-one with Alisson, I do think this could have been a very different game. Because Crystal Palace, the thing that's been lacking is their final third. I think defensively they've been doing okay. I know they've conceded 3 goals, but defensively they've been doing okay. And midfield has been pretty impressive as well for them. So the final third is where they're lacking a little bit, and I do think they can get better. So just have to keep an eye out for that. As far as, in general, the game goes, I thought we played quite well. Midfield was really good. Like I said, Henderson, I've been very, very impressed with him. Wijnaldum did well. Keita, a little bit of a slow start, but he did get into the game quite well. And there were a few very noteworthy moments. I think there was one where he got out of trouble when 3 people were around him. And, generally he's been quite, really quite good. And, I think Keita's made the most of his start. Minamino's definitely made the most of his start. That is not to say, obviously, that Mo Salah and Minamino is going to find himself first on the team sheet next game, but definitely it bolsters the case for him in front of Klopp in terms of I can rely on you a little more because Diogo Jota has come in and he's just slotted straight in. So obviously expecting Minamino to do the same thing is a little bit difficult because Jota is obviously an established Premier League player. Like he was established when he came from Wolves, and he was a really good player at Wolves. So to expect the same thing out of Minamino, who's coming from Salzburg in the Austrian league to the English Premier League, it's a big step up for him, obviously. But he's been here for quite some time, so he should eventually get better. And maybe, hopefully, this is the first of many games like this. But halftime 3-0 up. I am very, very happy with that. Hopefully, we can keep this momentum up, get a few more goals in. We do need to improve that goal difference quite a bit, and improve our standing at the top of the table. Just get more points on the board, as many points as we can. We've got a run of pretty decent fixtures, I think. Winnable games. I think we've got Newcastle. Southampton might be a little bit difficult, but we've definitely got Newcastle up there. I think we've also got one other team. I'm forgetting which one, but we do have one other team as well, which, a beatable team on paper at least. But yeah, we've got Newcastle, and then at some point we've got Manchester United in January. So that's going to be a little bit of an issue because traditionally, I think it's a home game, so we've not really struggled as much against Man United at home. It's only when we go to Old Trafford that we tend to be quite cagey. But anyway, we will get to those games when we get to those games. But it's been a brilliant performance. I hope this continues. 3-0 up at halftime. Hopefully we can at least keep it 3-0, if not more. I do expect to see Mo Salah come on at some point during the second half. I think Sadio Mane will be the one who's taken off. So I do expect Mo Salah to come on. Maybe even Nico Williams might come on for Trent or Robbo. I don't know if Klopp fancies trying out Nico Williams at left back. So I don't know. But I do expect a fair few subs. I think, I think Mo Salah definitely comes on for maybe 15-20 minutes. Maybe I'd say Nico Williams and Curtis Jones. I think I'd probably go with these three. But that's been my halftime reaction to the score, reaction to the game so far. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I will see you back again for full time, but stay right here with Raw Reactions. Right, guys, full time, and it is 7-0. I can't quite believe that we've actually managed to score 7 goals in a game. I know we managed to concede 7 in a game earlier this season, but scoring 7, it was an incredible performance in the second half. Let's just get that right out of the bat. Unbelievable performance. Our biggest win in 134 years. So the last time we beat a team 7-0 was in 1896. We actually did it twice. I forgot. I think one of it was against Crewe Alexandra, and the other one I think was against a team from Burton. I know now they're called Burton Albion, but it wasn't called Burton Albion then, and I don't even know if it's the same club, just with a different name, like most clubs used to be at the time. But unbelievable performance. And let's start right at the top. Captain's performance from Jordan Henderson. Unbelievable. I mentioned at halftime that this was a guy who was controlling the pace, controlling the tempo. And the finish, the finish was just beautiful, but it came at the end of a really, really good move. I think it was Minamino starts it off, gives it back to Sadio Mane. Mane finds Trent, and then Trent, I think his first touch let him down. I think if his first touch was better, I really do think he would have gone for the shot rather than the pass. But the fact is, his first touch let him down, but that did instead set up Henderson, who was just on-rushing from midfield, and just unbelievably cool finish into the far post. This is vintage Henderson. I was, the Fulham game, I was thinking to myself, where is the Henderson who would somehow come up with screamers? It's been a while since I saw one of Henderson's sort of long-range goals. I know he's had a couple of really good ones. So I remember the one against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge in particular. That was pretty damn impressive. So, yeah, I was just thinking to myself, this is the kind of game where that ability would be really nice for Henderson to have. But it obviously didn't happen in Fulham, but it happened today. And it wasn't really a power finish. It was just a really well-placed shot. It had pace to it, obviously, because you do still need to beat the keeper from that distance. So it does still have pace. But I think it was a very well-controlled shot. And it's very difficult to do that from that sort of range, which is why you don't see too many goals. And which is why, scoring from that sort of range is considered an art, and, you have YouTube compilations on it. Although, to be fair, you have YouTube compilations on pretty much anything. So, yeah, maybe that's not the biggest brag, but you get what I'm trying to say. It's that sort of goal requires skill, and I think today's performance, Jordan Henderson absolutely deserved it. I mean, a lot of people are saying just right at halftime itself that Henderson probably is the man of the match, and the goal just, I mean, to be fair, like I said it as well at halftime, Henderson is the best player on the pitch at that point. I don't know if I said it in those exact words, but I definitely did imply something like that. But yeah, unbelievable performance from Jordan Henderson. Captain's performance, just straight up. Let's just title it that, and that is probably what is going to be the episode's title. I haven't quite decided just yet, but unbelievable performance from Jordan Henderson. Just absolutely bossed the midfield, and yeah, I mean overall just a really good performance from him. An easy 10 out of 10 if I was giving player ratings, but. Let's talk about some of the others as well. Bobby Firmino getting his second goal of a counter-attack. He started off the counter-attack, in fact, finding Robertson with a long pass, and then Robertson carries it down the field, crosses it. Brilliant first touch, though. Oh, wait, was that... am I mixing up goals at this point? I mean, there's 7 of them. I might be mixing up goals at this point. I think I am. Yeah, I mean, that was for me. Yeah, we were leading 3-0 at halftime. That was Firmino's second. Yeah. Oh, man. What were we talking? Mo Salah had 2 goals, and who had the other one in between? I know Henderson started the half with a goal. Minamino. I'm genuinely at a loss. Genuinely at a loss to figure out who's had that. Who's had the other goal? I'm really trying to think here. I know it wasn't. Was it one of the substitutes? Oh wait, it was Firmino. Yeah, it was Firmino. Sadio Mane had. Yeah. Okay, yeah, got it. Yeah. Yeah. I know what the second Firmino goal was. The one I described was the first half. Jeez, that was one hell of a long time for me to remember. But yeah, it was a dink across the keeper, like just over the keeper. I mean, that was a really good finish as well. And Mo Salah had the assist for that one, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, I think Mo Salah had the assist for that one. And yeah, very, very good finish. Very good pass from Mo Salah as well to find Firmino. And yeah, unbelievable finish from him. And then, of course, you had Mo Salah with the double. He comes on as a substitute and scores 2 goals. I mean, that's just what the king does. That's just Mohammed Salah for you at his best. I mean, obviously, Sadio Mane not really pleased about coming off. You could literally see him moaning and just be angry on the pitch. It's not going to come down to anything, to be completely honest with you, because no player likes to get subbed out. Let's just get that right out of the way. No player likes to get subbed out, and I'm not even surprised Sadio Mane is angry. He looked so pissed off, though. Like, he looked so pissed. I think if I'm Jurgen Klopp, like, I can understand why he's frustrated, because when you're in a game like this where, pretty much every attack is leading to a goal, you kind of want to stay in. Like, you understand, I mean, as a player, obviously, you kind of want to stay in. Like, even when I played for college, or even when I, obviously not for college, because I was a goalkeeper, and if I was substituted as a goalkeeper, that means I've done something really wrong. But yeah, no, in school, I used to play centre back, and yeah, if I was subbed out, like, and it felt like I was having a good game, like, I'd be really pissed off. Like, and it used to happen when I was, like, in my younger days. And when I say younger days, I mean, when I just got into the school team, and, I wasn't quite the key player that I later on became towards the end of my school days. But, I used to get subbed out a few times, and it used to be quite annoying as a player, like, especially when you're having a really good game. So I can totally understand why Sadio Mane is frustrated. And it's just really unbelievable. I think what was more unbelievable to me was the fact that he hadn't cooled down even when Mo Salah had scored. And I get that. Like, it could have been me. I mean, that's, I guess, the thought that Sadio is probably having. Like, instead of Salah scoring 2, it could have been a Sadio Mane hat-trick. It could have. And you never know. Like, in football, these things, it's the butterfly effect. One thing changes and you don't know how everything else is going to change. So, it is what it is. But Mo Salah did get two goals. The second of which was an absolute beauty. Reminded me of the goal he scored against Roma in the Champions League semi-final in 2018. Straight top corner. It reminded me of the goal against Chelsea as well. I think it was 2000 and the year we lost the title to City by a point. The 99, 98, 97 point season. Yeah, 97 point season. That's the one I'm looking for. Yeah, similar goals against Chelsea as well. I mean, this man, once he gets it onto his left foot near the box, you know that shot is coming. Like there's just nothing you can do. It's the most obvious thing in the world. Just like, when I and Robin used to do the exact same thing. You knew it was coming and yet you couldn't stop it. And I think that's the hallmark of a great player. Because when you know what's coming as a defender and you still can't stop him, you still fall for the fakes, you still fall for the feints, you still fall for the counter moves, and he gets you with the same exact thing every time. I think that's the mark of a really great player. So, Mohammed Salah, kudos to you, man. It was just unbelievable. The other one, though, he took away Matip's goal. So I'm a little. I mean, I would have loved to have had Joel Matip just scream into the, where were we playing? Selhurst Park stands, empty stands, obviously, at Selhurst Park today. So I'd have loved to have for him to have gotten his second goal in like 3 games and just screamed into the Selhurst Park stands. But that wasn't to be. Sadio Mane happened to be in the path of the header, diverted it in. Clearly onside. There was really no doubt anywhere in this game. 7-0, unbelievable game. Overall, I really don't have anything to say. I'm just so overjoyed by this performance because I think this was the most complete Liverpool performance that I've seen in a while. I would say. I think the last game that I truly remember where we performed as well as we did today, I think that was, I want to say it was the game against Arsenal, because I think that was the last time we really performed the way, the way we did today. I think that was the last dominant performance. I know we had Chelsea as well, but Chelsea were down to 10 men, so it kind of made things a little bit easier. But I will say, I think it was Arsenal. Maybe I'm missing some games out, but I do. Maybe Atalanta 5-0. I think going to Atalanta and winning 5-0 was 4-0 or 5-0, whatever the score was. I think that was a really good performance. But I think even in that game, I think Atalanta had a few moments. But here, I mean, Crystal Palace barring, I just don't know. I just feel like it's one of those kind of games. You get what I mean? Anyway, brilliant performance. I'm really happy for Minamino as well. Got the goal got his first Premier League goal. Very, very crucial for him. Hopefully that builds up his confidence. Hopefully he feels like he belongs in this level. I think that was a question mark, till this point. Does Minamino belong to the Premier League? I'm hoping this is the performance that reignites him and ignites his confidence. I'm not saying he's going to nail down a first team spot. I think if Diogo Jota is fit, he still plays ahead of him. Minamino's not done enough to justify that level of inclusion. But hopefully he picks it up. And Jota's going to be out until, for a while. I think he's going to be out until like February, at least the start of February, maybe the end of January. But hopefully Minamino gets a few more chances to play. And I think he will, because of the festive period and the rotation that comes about. I think he will. Hopefully he can take those chances as well. It was really good to see Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain back on the field after... It's been ages? Look, I've been a really big fan of Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. I think even from his Arsenal days, I've been a really big fan of him. And I used to say this to some of my Arsenal friends, he's not being used right by Arsenal. And I'm not saying we used him right today because we played him out on the wing, but I think his best position is the centre of midfield. And there was a period, I think, before he suffered his ACL injury against Manchester City a couple of years ago, there was a period when Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain was just unbelievable in that position, and you knew what Curtis Jones is right now. More mature and more athletic as a player. That's what Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain was. So for me, it was like, oh my god, like this guy is amazing. Like when he first joined, I was genuinely excited for the fact that he had joined, and I think, I really do think that it's going to be it's going to be a really good season if he can stay injury free. I really think Alex can have a really good season if he can stay injury free, and he'll be a key player as well. I think there are games where we could use Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. I know we talk a lot about Thiago, and maybe he's not the best sort of. Maybe Thiago is maybe not the best. Option in certain games. Maybe sometimes you need someone who's direct, and I know Curtis does that. Curtis sort of takes the game to the opposition, and I know that's it. That's a good thing. But there are games where I think Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain's shooting ability is a little more mature as well. I really do think as a player, Alex has a lot to offer, and I think I just think this season if he can stay injury free, he'll get his chance to prove to Klopp that he's still got something in him to play for Liverpool, because there have been rumours going around that teams want Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. I think Wolves have been rumoured to have to want him. I think West Ham's been there as well. So I really think he can play for Liverpool. I just don't know. The only question mark, I just don't know if he's going to stay injury free. I think that's the question mark thing, because ever since that ACL, he's not been the same. He's been a little more vulnerable to injury. So unfortunate for him, and that's just the way things go. That's just the way the human body works. Once you get a serious injury, you are vulnerable to getting another serious injury. Mostly, it's the same thing repeating itself. But it is what it is. Hopefully, let's just hope for the best, and we'll see how that goes. As for the other performers, Mo Salah, impressive game. Sadio Mane, Roberto, Firmino, all of them were impressive as well. I mean, really, there's nothing else I can say. Defensively, we looked a little bit vulnerable at times in the first half. I think for that, 15 minutes in the first half, we looked like we could be beaten. And I said this on another forum as well. If Jordan Ayew scores that one-on-one, unlikely given the angle and the fact that Ayew's stronger foot is right foot, and it sort of need to either put it really powerfully past Alisson at the near post, or he'd have to finesse it or risk it with his left foot to going for the far post. So it would have been a difficult chance, but had he finished it and had Crystal Palace made it 1-1, it would have been, I think, a very, very different game. I think the moment Mane scored his goal, I think Palace lost a lot of their mojo and a lot of what they thought they could do. And I know people on Twitter are having a go at Palace for sort of defending and not having a go at Liverpool like Fulham did, for example. But I do think Crystal Palace did have a go at us. I think it's just their heads dropped after the second goal, and it really didn't help that Firmino scored on the 44th minute, just before halftime. I think that's one of the worst times to concede a goal, just before halftime, and it's just after kickoff, like once you've started a game. I think it's one of the worst times to concede a goal, and there's a big difference psychologically, I think, between going down 2-0 at halftime and going down 3-0 at halftime. I think 3-2 still looks doable. Once you get to 3, it's like it's borderline undoable. And I know Crystal Palace have come back from 3-0 leads before, most famously against Liverpool. 3-0 deficits before, sorry. Most famously against Liverpool. But it's not always going to happen. Like, if you take maybe 10 games where you're down 3-0 at halftime, I'm pretty sure at least 7 of them you're not going to come back and win the game or even draw the game. So there's a big difference between 2-0 and 3-0. And, I think that really affected them. And they ended up... I mean, the scoreline says 7-0, and the second half is, reflective of that performance from both sides. But if you're just talking about the first half, Crystal Palace actually were okay. They didn't look like a team that was 3-0 down at halftime. Like, they didn't play like a team that was 3-0 down at halftime. And I mean, it's just the way football goes. It's unfortunate, but it's also the difference in quality between the two sides, I think. But it's just one of those days for Crystal Palace. We had it against Aston Villa, where we lost 7-2, and Palace have had it against us. But we did need this game for goal difference as well, so that's another thing. We've overcome the Villa game, and we did need this game. But I think we're top even on goal difference now, so that's a good thing. And a clean sheet as well, a big win and a clean sheet. I don't think you can ask for much more. But that's going to do it from me, from my side, my reactions. Player ratings, honestly, I can just finish it off in one line. Everybody gets a 10 out of 10. The subs get a 9 out of 10, except for Mo Salah, who scored 2 goals, so he gets a 10 out of 10. But that is pretty much it from me. That concludes raw reactions from the Crystal Palace game from me. Hopefully, you guys are staying safe. The vaccine has been rolled out in a lot of places. The UK has a new tier again. London's a new variant of the COVID, the COVID virus as well. So a lot of things going on. My advice is just stay safe. For those of you who don't know, I am actually a doctor as well. So I do have to give out advice just in the interest of public safety. Just stay safe, wear a mask, hand sanitize as often as possible. If you can avoid going outside to crowded places, do avoid it. But, I know I have listeners from a lot of countries, and I just happened to check the analytics for the listening, and I have a bunch of listeners from like far off places, South Korea, Germany, South Africa, and various other places. So thank you guys so much for the support across the globe, literally across the globe. I appreciate it. But to all of you, all I'll say is just stay safe, enjoy Christmas. I know it's festive period and holidays have begun in a lot of countries. So do enjoy your time with your families. Just try and limit the exposure to COVID-19. That's all I'll say. Follow your local guidelines, follow your local governments wherever you are. And stay well. Hopefully have a good festive period. I know I won't be back for a week because our next game is next weekend. I think it's against West Brom, if I'm not wrong. But I'll be back previewing the game for that. There was no preview episode for Crystal Palace, but that will not be the case for West Brom or whatever the next game is. If it's not West Brom, it's someone else. But whatever the next game is, they will have a preview episode. But that is going to do it from me. Stay safe, take care, and I will see you guys next time. Goodbye.